The principles of justice, harmony, balance, order, and reciprocity. It is our duty to deliver authentic and unapologetic messages to the world, from politics to economics, education, spiritual roots. This is the Morning of Truth.
Welcome, family, to a new episode of the Morning of Truth. I'm your host, Shabaka Mu Ausar.
And I am also your host, I'm in Ptah. And today's episode is titled African Lives Matter. Now, why are we saying African Lives Matter? Well, just recently, not recently, actually, there's been an agenda behind Black Lives Matter, and it's been drowned out with a lot of initiatives coming from the rainbow agenda. So when you look at Black Lives Matter, for instance, we automatically knew that all Black lives matter.
That's right.
So now you have this term thrown around, all Black lives matter. And at the forefront of the movement, you have LGBT agendas being pushed at the forefront of it. So this was an easy way for whites to co-opt a Black movement due to the fact that LGBT is a white movement to begin with. So with African Lives Matter, we want to make sure that this is a global thing that's going to address people of African ancestry across the globe. And we're making a case for reparations, global reparations for Africans, not just people of African ancestry in the diaspora here in the United States of America, KKKA.
Yep, and we're spearheading this with our little agenda, or our big agenda, on AfricanLivesMatter.com. Stay on the lookout for that. That's coming real soon. On today's show, we're going to talk about the Kente cloth propaganda, defund the police, what does that mean? And lastly, our current state of affairs. So we have, again, an explosive show with my co-host, Amen, and let's get right into it.
Absolutely, brother. So with this Kente cloth propaganda, fam, who idea was this?
Wow, I don't really know, but I'm speculating because in 2018, the Congressional Black Caucus, they all wore Kente cloths at their State of the Union address or whatever. So I'm willing to bet it probably was the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm speculating here, but I'm just using my African intuition, my African intelligence, and I'm kind of thinking that they are behind this whole debacle.
Right. And it's so senseless too, man. Like, it's too extra. And you have a Caucasian wearing a Kente cloth, kneeling with other Black folks around, and I'm just gonna be honest, they look like Negro peons to me. More than likely they are Negro peons because it's like a mockery. Like, how are you gonna mock the West African tradition? And you have to connect it to the slave trade too, because this cloth itself is very relevant in the Ashanti's kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So this is an issue that we have to address right now, because we can't continue to allow our culture to be mocked.
And we can't allow our people, supposedly, to allow outsiders to cross the line.
Mm-hmm.
We're not wearing yarmulkes. We're not crossing the line on a cultural, spiritual, and a rites of passage, because the cloth was used by African royalty.
Mm-hmm.
It was used to be worn on special occasions.
Right.
From the Ashanti people in Ghana, from the Akan tradition. So for me, I was completely offended. How dare you let outsiders be a part of our cultural tradition just for a photo opportunity? I can see if they're going to sign over the 8 quadrillion debt that's owed through reparations, then maybe that may be appropriate, because you about to pass some money over and some power over. But for you to wear it just to wear it because you are under some pressure to do it by the energy that's being reflected from the protests, I think it's inappropriate, and I'm completely offended by it.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, like, when we look at culture in itself, if someone outside of the culture is going to participate in the culture, then you have to have the utmost respect for that culture. Now, when you look at the history of someone such as Nancy Pelosi, she is deeply tied to racist activity in the United States. So I'm not feeling it at all.
No,
You got someone clearly that has a track record of racist tendencies, wearing a kente cloth in the midst of a protest. So now you all of a sudden been wearing a kente cloth your whole life. I never saw you with a kente cloth. Now all of a sudden there's a global protest popping off and you wearing a kente cloth kneeling.
to say that we're one of the good people. We understand you. We wore the cloth and we kneeled out of the symbology of it all. We're on your side. No. It's a feel-good photo op. That's exactly what it is.
Exactly.
There's no cultural, spiritual, social, economical, emotional tie to it at all.
None.
Just to make us feel happy. Oh my God. It's like having a white person who can play basketball or rap. Oh my God, I'm so enthralled. Wow, look at them. They can do what we can do. No. No, 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 no.
Right. Right. And it's just, man, I don't want to keep belaboring it, but bottom line, stop jacking our swag.
Right.
Period.
And we can't allow the Congressional Black Negro Caucus to even put that energy out there or allow that. If I was in that congressional situation, how dare you? No, you will not. What do you mean, Shabaka? You heard what I said. Take it off now.
Right.
Either I'm going to ask you to take it off or I'm going to snatch it off. So I want to be respectful right now. Take it off.
Now, we have to understand the history of how black folks typically vote Democrat. And it's generally because we look at the history of enslavement, the Emancipation Proclamation, and people always give the Republicans the credit for freeing people of African ancestry.
And plus, we were Republicans back then too. During
exactly.
Reconstruction. So it's been totally flipped. Because during Reconstruction, the majority of blacks were the Republican Party.
And now you got the majority of blacks Democrat, right? However, there's nothing being done for black folks. So now every time election time come around, you have this opportunistic behavior happening by white Democrats with these photo ops.
And people take us for granted.
Exactly.
They're going to vote for us anyway.
Right.
The lesser of the two evils. You want to vote for the conservative Republican?
Right.
Or the liberal Democrats? Like, come on. So they take us for granted. They take us for granted.
But check it out, though. Let's look at the trend of how they disrespect us. In 2016, Hillary Clinton was on The Breakfast Club. And she said that she keeps hot sauce inside her purse.
Right.
A straight mockery. You know goddamn well you don't be having no fucking hot sauce in your damn purse. Stop fronting.
And we allow that, though.
Right. It's the same thing with Nancy Pelosi wearing a kente cloth. It's the same thing.
Yep. I have hot sauce and Aunt Jemima pancake syrup in my purse for my chicken and waffles. Get out of here.
Word, man.
And we just suck it up. Oh my gosh, she got the sauce. She's saucy.
Right. Oh, she get it because she got hot sauce in her purse.
And they know sometimes that's all we need to get it. Oh, wow. She's cool. And some of us go for it.
Right.
A lot of us go for it.
A lot of us do.
Folks who are listening, let's be honest. You vote Democrat because your grandparents and your parents did. The same way that you were Christian. So we are in a cultural whirlwind where we keep doing the same thing because our ancestors did it. Folks before us did it. We're not being intelligent or intellectual about what's happening, and we keep regurgitating the same thing. And that's why these white Democrats take us for granted and bring hot sauce and wear kente cloths, and we vote for them anyway because we don't want Trump in. And my thing is this: we had Obama in and we didn't get nothing. So who the hell is a Biden?
Right.
We riding on Biden. And for all the Democrats, you are my enemy if you don't speak truth to power. I will have nothing to do with you. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an African. I'm a Nubian.
That's right.
If you don't talk, if there ain't no money or contracts on the table, you will not get my vote. You will get my choke hold.
That's right. You know we got to get it popping, man.
Let's go.
Come on, we straight Africans up in here. We're not playing around.
I'm not no Democrat. I'm an African-crat.
Right. We are Africans. We are not Africans. Real talk. We're not playing with y'all, man. For real, for real. We ain't messing with none of you Democratic opportunists. I will not be swayed, or I will not become a puppet for none of your games.
Cause I'm living. We can breathe.
Right.
Even under Trump, we breathing. So
Right.
don't play that game with me about Biden. We should vote for, don't keep Trump in. I lived for 4 years with Trump. I live another 4 years with Trump. But what I won't live with is backstabbing Democrats who are scared of white people. Pull your pants up, be a woman, be a man, and speak truth to power.
Period.
Stop being a scaredy cat.
We are not messing with any of your Negro peens and Kundalinis and crocodiles. None of y'all is getting any respect. No respect for me at all whatsoever. It's one thing when you are in a position you just totally oblivious, but it's another when you know what's going on and you still selling your people out.
But I can't, Shabaka, I can't say that. Then the white people gonna get scared and they won't vote me back in, or they might just kill me. So I really feel that way, brother. I get it, power to the people, but we gotta play the game just to get inside so we can make moves covertly and yeah.
Shut up, crocodile.
But you ain't asking for nothing. You ain't got no contracts for nothing. It's non-negotiable. We want contracts, or we voting for Trump, or we don't vote at all. It don't matter who's the president, folks.
Right.
Stop being scaredy cats.
And that's the bottom line. Like, we totally saw the last election, what happened with the Electoral College. You seen how Hillary had she had the popular vote.
She won.
She won over 3 million votes. And this man still got in the office because the president is not elected, he is selected.
Right. And all he got to win is these certain states, which he put the fly in the soup and stole those states. And that's it.
Right.
That's why he don't go everywhere. He go to certain states and put all his money into. If he get those certain states, he gonna particularly win.
Right.
But then are we all votes really being counted? Remember, this is a America KKK system. Mm-hmm. It's a fixed game.
Gerrymandering. Come on, let's talk about it. Voter suppression. This is what's happening. And this is happening particular to communities that are of African ancestry, or what you want to use the term communities of color. I don't even like using that term, people of color, and that, come on, I don't know. Anyways, but that's what's happening. They are suppressing our votes. Our votes are not truly not being counted, or they're creating scenarios where you won't be able to vote at all. And that's what just recently happened in Atlanta.
And that's what happens when you don't have contracts and commitments before you vote.
Right.
We do it backwards. We vote for them, then beg, wait about, we need to have more. No. Before I cast my vote, I want commitments and contracts. Then I can vote confidently. Yeah, we already got a deal.
Right.
Does that sound crooked? No, it's the American KKK way. So stop playing checkers when the game is chess.
Absolutely.
Know what game you playing.
Right. And furthermore, before we wrap up this segment, crackers, stop wearing our Kente cloth. Stop putting on our garments, especially if you're not gonna rock it properly.
Right.
If you're gonna wear some Kente cloth, you better have respect for the culture itself. Cause listen, I'm done with the cooning. I'm done with these Kundalinis. I'm done with these Negro pains. I'm tired of them. You know what I'm saying? That's why we have this platform, because guess what? We're going to put our foot on your necks. We're going to put our knees on your necks.
Right.
Bottom line.
Until you can't breathe.
Seriously, figuratively, and literally. Well, we'll be back, man. We're going to holler at our sponsors, and when we get back, we're going to get straight to it.
Kundalini Rising Intuitive Advisement offers a unique all-in-one service of soul coaching, divination, and genuine counseling. We provide guidance for difficult transitional times and effective problem-solving solutions that will meet your soul as well as your practical needs. To book an appointment, please call us at 585-371-8445 or visit our booking site at www.kundalinirising.simplybook.me.
Welcome back. So, Bach,
Yes, sir.
do you have any inclination of what defund the police mean?
Well, based on what the media says, defund the police means that police departments across America have these astronomical budgets. A lot of the money goes to the militarization of the police, military equipment, special surveillance, toys like drones and armored vehicles and armored wear that they get to wear. Also, paying Google to spy on us, paying Facebook, getting permission to go through social media and spy on citizens. So they saying defund the police. Let's take some of that money away from the police department and give it back to fight racism or to fight or to help the public in some way, the people who are less fortunate. That's what they telling us.
In literal terms, or in layman's terms, it's reallocation of funding.
Right.
And placing the money that was initially there into other activities and programs that is going to help those who are most needed. And also, us to also have to put in context. When we think about defund the police, we're also taking monies to fix the issues that we wouldn't need the police for to begin with, because the police department is the most funded than anything else in the city. Mm-hmm. So there are other things in the community that is not getting funding. Therefore, it's going to generate the issues that going to keep feeding the police force.
Right.
So if we take that money away from the police department and start placing it into activities and programs that is going to help the people out of the positions that they're in to begin with, then we wouldn't need the police.
And we won't need prisons. Mm-hmm. But if you have prisons as a private entity, it's their interest to have us in prison, to fill those beds, to get that money, like 30 to 50,000 per prisoner on average in most cities.
Right.
So, folks, can you hear and see the conspiracy here?
Mm-hmm.
The police department and these laws were put in place to imprison black people.
Right.
Some of the first prisons in this country were filled with black folks with crimes like being out past curfew,
convict leasing,
major petty larceny, whatever,
reckless eyeballing,
where you were in prison for.
Spitting.
So we have to face the reality of why these things were put in place. Police were put in place to arrest and criminalize black people.
That's the history, fam.
And if you don't believe it, then do your research. Matter of fact,
slave catchers.
On the morningtruth.com website, I want to put a couple of articles and some books on there. Click on the links, because on the Morning Truth, we try to put everything that we talk about in the context of scholarship. So we're not just babbling at the mouth. Of course, we are fiery people. We say a lot, but it's all backed up by scholarship.
Yes, it is.
And we can take it to Facebook Live too, by the way, or however you want to do it. If you think that what we're saying is a bunch of hogwash.
Right.
Because it's not.
It's not. And furthermore, we're very passionate about this because we've been watching these issues happen our whole entire life. And we are historians, so we know about the history that happened prior to us coming into this dimension. We wasn't born in the 60s, but we know what happened in the 60s because we studied history. We know what happened in 1865, before 1865. We know what happened at 1619 or 1555.
Right.
So we can take it there. We know what happened before that because we are historians and we follow the patterns. So this is the bottom line. Locally, there was a recent budget that was passed by city council. $100 million essentially per year goes to the police department. Mm-hmm. If you notice it, if you look outside and you look at the police cruisers, for instance, they are constantly updating their cars. They got Chargers out there right now.
They got brand
new Chargers. They're constantly updating their vehicles that they don't really need those. They got good mechanics. You can keep fixing those cars that you already have. You want to keep buying new vehicles, and then you want to start buying tanks and rubber bullets, and you want to, you know what I'm saying, come on, man.
Pepper spray.
And
I want to say this too, for folks who are listening. Think about the K9 unit of every police department.
oh yeah.
Those dogs are trained to attack black people.
Yes, they are.
Again, another fact that police departments were constructed to attack, arrest, and criminalize people of color.
Right.
They were not to go. Have you ever seen a canine dog maul on a white kid? I saw a young dude got mauled on by the police dog about 2 weeks ago. It was on World Star or something. They let the dog just mangle him. He was hollering and screaming.
And they just let it happen. The dog was going crazy. I seen that.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you pay this mangy mutt that needs to have a bullet in his head to attack somebody and maul on their skin like that.
And if you kill the dog, you get charged just like you killing a police officer, and you're gonna get life, just like you just murdered a human being.
The dogs are racist. They don't like black people, and that's why I don't like German Shepherds to this day. Don't come around my way, because you might catch one.
Yeah, because they German first.
The
German Shepherds. So think about it. Germans are very racist, my brother.
Right, so the dog is racist.
Yeah.
You think I'm joking? Go pet a K9 unit. So all the black, oh no, this is preposterous. Well, take your mangly, when you see a K9 cop, go try to touch that dog and see what'll happen to you. He'll maul your hand off. Guaranteed. Think it's a game.
Right. And Trump just recently signed some bills on police reform. And if you was to listen to his conversation, when he had a speech, he didn't say anything about race.
Nope.
Nothing at all.
We're gonna ban chokehold unless your life is being threatened.
Then guess what? You're not banning chokeholds.
They all think their life is threatened.
You're not banning chokeholds. So all you have to say, I felt my life is in danger and I'm gonna choke you out. It's still the same thing.
Right.
You did not put any protections in place. And he said you're gonna create training and all this and that. Come on, man. Bottom line, racism is in the DNA of a cracker. So if you're gonna think you're gonna just train that out of somebody, you're not. And how long the training is gonna last, because this is lifelong work. This is not something that you just go to a class and you think that it's gonna just change a person's mindset. It's not happening.
It needs to start at home. It needs to be funneled in from preschool all the way to college and the postgraduate doctorate programs. This whole country is infested with the idea that white is right.
Right.
And any other is sub. Even when it comes to healthcare, academics, the whole nine. The whole system is contaminated.
Bottom line.
It's going to take a whole reconstruction, deconstruction, demolition of this particular system and build it off of equity. But when you do that, people in power got to give away something.
So let's look at this history though. I want folks to really look at the police themselves, right? Who are the police officers? What's their history? What's their ancestral history? And how far that goes back. So when you look at medieval times, for instance, let's look at the medieval times, which was called the Dark Ages, so to speak.
Barbaric.
Very barbaric. This is their history. This was when they was tying horses to people's arms and legs and making them go 4 different directions and pull them apart. And that was considered enjoyable in Europe. This was when they had guillotines and chopping your head off, and they made spectacles of that. Matter of fact, lynching is a European import. It did not start here.
Right.
They brought that over here. And it wasn't even called lynching at the time.
Put them on a joist on a stick and letting their body hang from a pole until they die.
Right.
This is part of their cultural DNA.
Exactly. So they traumatized themselves first before they took their show on the road. They were already traumatized as Europeans traumatizing Europeans. As soon as they came in contact with people outside of them. They started blowing their traumas inside black folks and whoever else they connected, the Native Americans, the indigenous people of this space that we're in right now. Then you create the police force and you further blow the traumas in just by keeping your foot on those folks' necks. You did not find any time to heal or anything like that. And now let's look at police officers and the daily stress that they're under because of the type of work that they're in. On top of that, the police force is like a recruitment for the Ku Klux Klan.
Yep. People who are power struck, who want to walk around with a gun and attack black people. They're not going to the suburbs beating up and shooting white children. They're not. If they were, it would be a spectacle. If all the black officers in these cities were to go out and start blowing white kids with smithereens, it'd be a state of emergency.
Right.
The police departments are here to criminalize, kill, maim, and arrest people, African people. Period. And you can't debate me otherwise. Because the data shows it. Look at our prisons. They're full of African American people, Africans.
Right. 13% of the nation's population is of people of African ancestry.
On parole and probation.
And nearly 40% of the prison population are people of African ancestry. The majority of those are men. And then you have parole and probation. That's on another scale. Correctional control. That's considered. So you look at all of those data points and you can clearly see what my brother Shabaka is articulating, that police officers are there to protect their property, number one, which is not only these buildings and all these landmarks and all that other stuff, but black folks are considered property as well. And we ought to be controlled. And if we're not operating according to whatever they have in place, they got another thing in place, which is the prison industrial complex and so on and so forth. This is all part of a eugenic
probation and
movement.
parole. So you want to get out early. Oh, you get caught. You do a crime. They make a plea agreement with you. Okay, we're not going to put you in jail. Give you a $5,000 fine, 24 hours of community service, and then put you on probation for 6 months to a year, 3 years, whatever.
Right.
Africans. We are at war. And then when we call 911, how efficient are they?
Right.
When we really need them.
And when it comes to the defunding the police, if you defund the police, who's gonna benefit from that?
Right. What you gonna
Where the
do?
money's going? Where the actual money is gonna go to if you were to defund the police? Is it gonna truly help the people that need it?
Right. Or is it going to go to the hands of a few just for a photo shoot? Hey, we gave $100 million to United Way. Is it ever going to reach the people?
Right.
Is it ever going to reach the people? Oh, we gave the Urban League and we gave Action for a Better Community. We gave them $100 million to fight poverty, the anti-poverty initiative. How is these things going to really trickle down to the people?
For the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative being in existence over the past 5 years, let's look at the areas of the city that needs the help and what transitioned. I'm not saying that they haven't made any gains or anything, because there has been some things that they've done. But let's look at the Beechwood area. Let's look at the Crescent, 14621, 14609 as well, and all that. Those areas look the same as they did since the year 2000.
Right.
98, 97, 96. They still look the same way. And they're decrepit. As a matter of fact, it has gotten worse since then, because now you got vacant lots. And with these vacant lots that they have, you know what they do with those vacant lots, bro? They bury houses in those lots. So there was a house once upon a time on those lots, and they buried the house. So they just cover it up instead of really just digging everything out of it. And guess what? If you buy that lot now and you want to build on that lot, now you got to get that lot tested for any type of contaminants or whatever. And if those contaminants are there, you can't build on that lot. That means you got to dig all that lot out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You see the game that they playing, fam?
Right.
Real talk. Again, who's benefiting from defunding the police?
Right. And locally, I think they allocated $800,000 to go towards something. $800,000 when it comes to our population.
What the hell that's gonna do?
That's nothing. That's like $1 a person.
Seriously, what else? They ain't gonna do shit. And the white woman, I forgot her name, she was actually asking for more money.
Right.
And an exchange occurred between her and the mayor. And what happened in that exchange, it sounded like there was some deflecting occurring.
Right.
During that conversation, because the white woman was right. $800,000 is not enough. We need more money for us. The folks that need that money deserve more. You know it. We have an anti-poverty initiative, second in the country for the worst place to live for black folks.
Right.
And when it comes to childhood poverty, we are arguably for mid-sized cities first. Right. So come on. It's a no-brainer that we need way more money than $800,000 to be allocated towards certain agendas for us to fix these issues. We got to actually go to a break, my brother, because we are running out of time.
Man, you know how we do. We get fired up.
Yeah.
So what we got next? The song of the week?
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, I am the artist for this week's song.
Yes, this track, every week on The Morning of Truth, we have an independent artist that we feature on the show. On this week's show, we have my brother, my other host, Ptah. Now, I want y'all to check out this song called COVID War and really listen to the lyrics because the brother is giving it up. So you may want to take some notes. We're going to play this song and then we're going to dialect after the song. So listen up. This is
absolutely
the COVID War.
And COVID stands for Crackers' Obsession with Viral Infectious Destruction. Let's go.
There are 9 areas of human activity in the known universe, and war is one of them. Biological warfare is silent, but violent. Let's go. Now what we got in common, nothing like a tub scrub with comic. You more like toilet hugs with vomit. My precious with the hobbit. Nigga, stop that nonsense. We'll have a visitor knocking at your conscience. And when you answer, I promise you'll get yoked up. Omelet. To be honest, if you sneeze, I'm the pollen. Antihistamines can't stop me, the shaman. I mix herbs and activate the nerves. That was on Do Not Disturb. You was perturbed because your action didn't match your verb. Mix malaria with MERS, splicing HIV. You get respiratory infections blocking your ABCs. What's the ABCs? Air breathing and circulation, compromised by respiratory codes and infiltration of a virus. Corona gets crowned king as COVID-19 enters the passageways of your sinus. Before you know it, fluids flooding your lungs. Flabbergasted as you gasp and dying alone. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious destruction. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious destruction. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from where hate comes like semen from a diseased penis. Attached to covert white supremacists. Fucking the planet with quarantine extremists and nanochip intravenous. The planet is in a panic. People buying our tissue and purchasing pistols. In their homes drowning in dismal. Shortage of ventilators and PPE. N95 masks and hand sanitizer to fight the beast. When the real front line of protection is what you eat. And an increase of exercise can keep you from catching heat. Or a fever that reach a degree of 103. But you can't beat it eating meat and drinking mucus. Where's your leafy greens? Where's your antiviral teas and spirulina, chlorella and maca root? Sea moss and echinacea. Immunocompromised, but you not living wise. COVID raid is getting sprayed and people's dropping like flies. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious destruction. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious destruction. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man die. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious. I never seen a man cry till I seen that man die. Crackers' obsession with viral infectious. I never seen a man cry till I seen that man Families forced to mourn their loved ones at a social distance. The relentless wickedness of this deceptive mission. Viral laboratories depicted as the cracker's kitchen, cooking up a plague so they can vaccinate your children. You see, the villain is addicted to the trillions of dollars, and whistleblowers make a hit dog holler. They addicted, they itching and scratching powers they dog collar. But a coward's not protected from the cosmic shower soul power. The metaphysics of the spirit is invested in illumination. Zola love rises to the occasion. From the cellular to the cellular, Africans are the antibodies crystallized from nebula. I'm Olaroon, the Ashe of gravity in Ogun, the flow of river and streams through the bloodstream of Oshun. Immune to any pandemic. While man limits himself, paralyzed by fear, I'm gonna stand in it. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Powerful, powerful, powerful track, my brother.
Thank you,
So
my
once
brother.
you tell me what was your state of mind when you wrote that particular piece?
Well, when I initially wrote it, man, I was stuck in the house, quarantining, and, just thinking about the state of affairs. And so I was thinking like, okay, white folks historically always created diseases to try to wipe people out. I'm looking at COVID and I said, you know what? I want to turn this into an acronym. And I decided to look at white folks and then draft up something in accordance to what I saw historically, whether it be syphilis from the Tuskegee experiment. I'm looking at all the historical things that they've done when they generate, even HIV, smallpox, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm looking at COVID, and I'm like, how in the hell this just all of a sudden became so viral, and it just spread it like wildfire across the globe just like that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I think this need to be addressed, man. And I just decided to make a song and I started looking at the health disparities that's in our community as it pertains to black folks. Also wrote a piece called I'm Not Feeling Well back in 2015 that highlighted these same disparities that's been addressed and brought to the forefront here in 2020 that folks was widely ignoring. But, the public health community, they knew about it. But that's scholarship. Right. So, I try to use these vehicles of hip hop to put out these messages and get people to start thinking deeply about the issues that is impacting us on a global scale.
Yeah, one thing I took away from the song is that there is an antidote for COVID, and it's the food that you eat. Decreasing your stress level, drinking lots of water, eating real food. Because I personally think COVID is rampant in America. I mean, people are getting tested and found that they got it. D.L. Hughley passed out from it. People are going to bars and not having symptoms, but they have the virus. So I think it's everywhere. And for those who have not succumbed to it, who are those who have stronger immune systems. And for people of color, because of our diet, that's why we're susceptible to diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension. We're eating garbage.
Right. And you also have to look at the environments we're in too. So a lot of us have asthma due to the fact that we have been placed in living conditions that is not humane.
Yeah, poor air quality.
Exactly. Poor air quality.
Infestation of insects,
lead,
like bugs.
Lead in the water. Like there's so many things that we are susceptible to due to the fact that we are in a very impoverished place. So we don't have access to the foods that you're talking about on a grand scale. Instead, we living in food deserts. So it's going to create all these issues that you're talking about.
Right, and you put people in a desert situation, and the only oasis you got is Kraft macaroni and cheese boxes.
Exactly.
And ramen noodles,
processed foods,
and cheap meat, processed meat, and it's affordable. And because if you want to eat healthy, you want to get organic or, wild caught things, and that stuff is expensive. So the price is so crazy. Sometimes it could be double.
Right.
For those who go buy organic red pepper, for example,
it's gonna be
like
astronomical.
$5 a pound, $5. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So to eat healthy, to eat food that's not genetically modified, you got to pay more for it. But we could grow our own stuff in our backyards too. That's a whole nother conversation. But I just want to say that I think COVID is everywhere. I think we all been exposed to it. But the reason why we're talking now is because we do have a somewhat strong immune system to it. So we're here. I think that for us to live on, we can't continue to digest the things that are counterproductive to our development as far as our immune system and our DNA.
Exactly, man.
So I appreciate the song. And if you want to hear the song, you probably can do that from the website too. We could probably make that available. You know
Yes, absolutely. We can have that streaming.
Because you may want to hit, or this, matter of fact, rewind the podcast, back it up and play it again. There's a lot of jewels in there and not a play on words that I caught this time. That the ABC was phenomenal. We're at the ABCs and you broken down, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that was I really appreciate the track, my brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. I always try to use that as a way to enlighten the folks with the things that I've learned throughout the years. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it's needed. It's a medium. Hip hop is probably the most provocative and most progressive genre of music we ever had.
Ever. I would agree, definitely.
You know what I mean? And
impactful, worldwide impact.
Absolutely. And speaking of COVID, on a global scale, the total cases right now is 8,994,469 with 85,914 new cases. And the death toll for the globe is 468,514 with 2,248 new deaths. In the United States, even though this started across the seas, we're first in the country, we're first in the world when it comes to cases. So in the United States, it's 2,344,053 with 13,475 new cases and 122,127 total deaths with plus 147 new deaths. And I'm looking at all of these countries that are highly impacted by COVID-19. United States being number 1, Brazil the 2nd, Russia 3rd, 4th is India, 5 is UK, 6 is Spain, 7 Peru, 8 Chile, 9 Italy, 10 Iran, 11 Germany, 12 Turkey, 13 Pakistan, 14 Mexico, 15. The reason I'm going down here because I'm trying to show how much these countries are outside of Africa. The first African country that's impacted is South Africa with 92,681 total cases, 0 new cases, and 1,877 deaths in South Africa with no new deaths being reported so far. And I'm trying to look at any other African country. The next African country coming after that is 26. Number 26 is Egypt. And Egypt is hardly any black folks over there now. they push black folks out of Egypt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the vast majority of these countries, I'm looking at all of them right now, fam. The next one I'm looking at now, okay, Ghana got 14,000 cases with 290 new cases and 85 total deaths in Ghana. You know what I mean? And Ghana is Ghana's 55 and Nigeria is 50. 19,808 total cases with 506 deaths. The death toll is very low in Africa.
Right.
You know what I mean? In comparison to these other countries. I'm wondering what's up with that. You also have to look at the treatments that people had created in Africa that are straight herbal remedies.
Yeah, they're using nature.
Yes.
Food is the medicine. In America, they're going to give you some hydrochlorophil, whatever they're trying to give you.
Hydrochloroquine. Chloroquine.
I don't know the name of it. All I know is a hydro something.
Yeah.
Because I know it's probably water or hydrogen or
it's probably a placebo.
Whatever they're doing. But I believe these diseases that have been ravaging the earth over the last 20, 25 years are all man-made. Mm-hmm. And just like HIV, which I think also was man-made, they're trying to put bugs out to eliminate people. I think it started in China. It was definitely a direct hit at China, and it went across the world like wildfire. Mm-hmm. And these mad
and Beijing just came out with it. They got a whole new outbreak in Beijing right now.
Yeah. So these folks who are trying to use biological warfare, it backfired like HIV. Knock it off. Right. Obviously, you ain't good at what you do.
Right.
Because you can't contain it. And like HIV thought, we're just going to drop it in the poor communities and wipe out the Africans, and then wiped out everybody else too. So knock it off. Mm-hmm. You are not good with your biological warfare. It's not happening. Every time you try to put something out here, always boomerang. Now look at this COVID thing now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You go to try to take somebody out, and it boomeranged on us.
Right.
And we wasn't ready.
Exactly.
Also, what COVID did was just expose America. Mm-hmm. America is a third world country. Mm-hmm. Corporations have money, but the people are poor. We're a third world country over here.
Right.
We can't even afford PPE.
Right. Now, the interesting thing about COVID, and me, I'm always saying there are cosmic ramifications behind this. The cosmos have rituals just like we do as human beings have rituals, right? And we are just like ants in comparison to what's happening out there. Mm-hmm. So when you look at these issues, such as COVID, granted it was man-made, man don't have more power than the cosmic energy.
Right.
So when things like that is created and generated, it's gonna, especially now in the year 2020, it's gonna lift the veil up, so to speak. That's what COVID did. You know, pre-COVID, people were still in a coma. Once COVID occurred, folks were forced to sit down and stay still and process. Mm-hmm. Not only what's going on within their own lives, but what's going on in their families, what's going on in the world, so on and so forth. And what also it did, it made people restless. So when a death like George Floyd occurred, and we have social media, it was projected to the world. People already was on the edge. Just the simple fact they had to stay in the house for so long.
Right.
Out comes the ruckus. Out comes the outcry. Also, you know, Ahmaud Arbery happened right before George Floyd. So we had a chain of events that occurred. COVID, Ahmaud Arbery, things that was happening on a local level in people's communities as well. Of course, this was a powder keg ready to explode. But COVID was the catalyst. It actually was the and it still is. It's still in effect.
Right.
So there is some cosmic energy surrounding this. Something very cosmic happening.
Yep, that they can't control. Mm-hmm. They never anticipating that these white folks will be tearing down statues and doing what they're doing now. You look at the protests, they never anticipated that. I think what they anticipated was a divide. Right. They wanted a race war. Mm-hmm. They keep trying to pump up this race war, and it's not really happening, because in order for these capitalists to really get a stronghold, they have to put their power on everyone, including white people. Mm-hmm. Now, white people are the benefits of white supremacy, but they also are enslaved by it too.
Right.
So they would sacrifice their own just for the dollar. And those white folks out there protesting, they know that it's real and that we are armed rape from strangling one of them. Mm-hmm. So they need to be on our side, because they know we gotta be with the people. I'm not rich. I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. They got a private island somewhere on a private jet. Mm-hmm. They just take 10 minutes from the city. We in the suburb. They can attack us.
Right.
White folks are real nice these days. Mm-hmm. Everywhere I go, everyone's so nice. They like, yo, they know that it's real. So they're not going to be subjected to being attacked by us. So they have to fight against the system.
Right.
So they don't get attacked.
But not only that, though, fam, you also have to look at the curse that they inherited with the privileges that they have inherited.
Right.
So white
self-preservation.
Folks, yeah. So white folks, right? Yeah. So a lot of white folks, they recognize that they do have privileges, and they have to do something about that due to the fact that they inherited through wicked means.
Right.
Right? So if you have that in place, then you got,
I could snatch you out your car on Park Avenue and beat you like them dudes that don't. That's
Right.
that's the reality
Yeah.
situation too.
yeah, they scared.
Right.
They're afraid. But also on the cosmic level, it's called karma.
Mm-hmm.
What goes around comes around. History is cyclic. And if you inherited things through wicked means and you're not doing anything to reverse what happened, what your ancestors did, then guess what? That curse is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse until you completely get wiped out. Right. That's what's happening now. That's why the population of Europeans is at a decline. They have a negative birth rate. There are more deaths than babies being born in their population on a natural level. This is happening naturally. Right. You also see all these hurricanes and superstorms that's primarily impacting their communities more than anyone else. You know what I'm saying? This is what's happening. And of course, you see the cop that just got charged with murder in Atlanta because there is a paradigm shift happening. People are rising up. Like, listen, if you don't start charging these police officers for doing the things that they're doing, we're going to burn this bitch down. We're going to continue to do it.
Right.
And that's what happened in Atlanta. They burnt down the Wendy's and shit that shit happened at. And guess what? The DA said, we got to charge this motherfucker with murder.
Right, because they might turn on us.
Right.
What if they turn on us?
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
Yeah.
The big angry black man, the big bear, awakens it up and attacks me.
The sleeping giant has awoken.
If he ever do, we're done.
Uh-huh.
If the black man and woman ever woke up and broke those chains and looked at us like, you gotta go, there's nothing they can do about it. There's not enough police force to protect you all.
Right.
You're gonna perish. And that's just the bottom line.
And that's why they want to militarize the police to begin with, because they want to have more control.
Yeah.
Just in case people turn up, like that King Alfred plan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They want to do that. And so I think now you got white folks that's looking at, it's all about protecting their interests too. The bottom line, we want to continue to make money because what COVID has done has destroyed some businesses.
Yes, it did.
And they're like, yo, we need to keep our bottom line.
And they damn sure don't want Wall Street to get attacked. They don't want these federal buildings is that because you know that now it's going to become terroristic threats. That's why the terrorist is created to begin with, to protect their bottom lines. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you're doing, first of all, you're the terrorist. You're the one that's terrorizing the public with your policies and your governmental practices and procedures.
Yep.
That's an act of terrorism
that corporations and private entities put in place to keep us in place for their bottom line, which is profit.
Right.
The government has no control. First of all, the government's broke, folks.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying that on the Morning Truth. I want to reiterate that one more time. If you have a penny, you have more money than the American government. This country is controlled and maintained by families and corporate interests. Has nothing to do with the people. It never had. But we, especially black folks, Africans, we're confused. We think the government controls America. This is a question I posed in my media literacy course when I was at MCC for 5 years. Even with white folks, they're confused too. Who controls America, the government or corporations? Now, some of them say, well, the corporations and some, but we really think the Constitution and the government and the federal rallies really control this country? No, folks. This country is bought and paid for by folks who have the most money and power.
Yes, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group.
Right now, it's Apple and Google. It's Apple and Google and the oil companies, pharmaceuticals. It's only 4 industries: pharmaceuticals, energy, technology. Technology came out of nowhere. The oil people thought they was going to be in control forever. But now you got people like Apple, Amazon, Google, Bill Gates, Microsoft.
Right.
These are the people that run the world.
And then you have to talk about all the media channels too. So you have the conglomerates that controls all the communication that we receive.
And right now, the media is being bought out by the telecommunications company.
Right.
Verizon's and AT&T's and Netflix. When Netflix came out of nowhere, that's a whole other conversation. But these digital media platforms are buying up everything.
Right. So,
although we got a so-called constitution, we got a so-called military, but who is pulling the strings? It's corporate interests, energy, pharmaceutical, media companies.
Indeed. And let's shift gears a little bit, man, because we are almost to the end of the show. It's like 58 minutes we are running in. So we've been going in, my brother.
How we do. We get
it in.
It get hot.
But we have to talk about Juneteenth. We cannot end the show without talking about the national holiday that's just been actually Cuomo
in New York State.
So and other states too. Some other states too had basically made Juneteenth a national holiday.
We know Oregon and Arizona probably be the last people to do it, but right now we got New York and maybe Georgia, a few other states.
Right. So this is a definitely a blacknificent thing. However, this is what I want to caution people on. This is the reason why we created this term, African Lives Matter. Reason why we created this term is because we are tired of our movements and our things being co-opted. What Juneteenth is to black folks is what the 4th of July is to the cracker. We did not gain no independence, even with Juneteenth.
Right.
However, it's been quote unquote the freeing of the slaves. We were actually freed anyway, but June 19th is when the last state, Texas was the last state to be considered free in the United States or the United Snakes of America, right? And so on June 19th, the general went down there and told folks in Galveston, Texas, that you guys are free, and they had a celebration, right? Now with Juneteenth, I can see in the future when there's Juneteenth parades and stuff like that with rainbow flags being waved in there, because I think the LGBT could easily infiltrate that too, like how they did Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And if they infiltrate Juneteenth, then guess what? It became co-opted because what? LGBT is not a black movement. If you got rainbow flags in Juneteenth parades, that is not a representation of black people.
And that's why we're using the term African, because most African Americans don't want to be African.
Right.
You're being forced to be called that because it's politically correct. But if you're a so-called African American, then you will speak up for African people unapologetically on all tables, all boardrooms, all Zoom meetings, all calls, but you hold your tongue because you're afraid. And maybe you shouldn't be in that position to speak, because you should have your tongue removed, because why are you there? Everybody else at the table putting down what they want and what they deserve, but we at the table act like we can't speak for our people because they ain't gonna like us. I can't make it. I can't meet. If you are a board member and you know that your racist organization or your racist company is leaving us out of benefiting financially, speak up or get out that position.
Right.
Everybody else at that table is there on their people behalf.
Exactly.
And we should not be afraid of that or ashamed to say that. Especially now. Right now, we got the country in the palm of our hands. And all we got to do is ball it up and make a fist and get to swinging. You know, and I'm talking about not physically fighting. I'm talking about mentally fighting, culturally fighting, spiritually fighting, and standing on a square. Stand your ground.
Right.
Because I'm not playing with you. If Shabaka's in your board meeting or any kind of meeting that I'm dealing with, you already know how I get down. I'm unfiltered. Police can't scare me. FBI can't scare me. CIA can't scare me. Nobody can't scare me when it comes to this. I'm so, it's popping off.
That's right. We have to be unapologetically African. Period.
Period.
That's the bottom line. And when you see us, you're gonna know that that's an African. We're not just wearing garments just because we represent African. Our actions speaks louder than the garments.
Right.
Period. So, what are your final thoughts, my brother, as we wrap up this podcast?
We titled this show African Lives Matter to make a distinction between black. That's why when you meet an African, oh, I'm not black, I'm Ethiopian. I'm not black, I'm Ghanaian. And okay, I can kind of see the point. But more importantly, when we say African lives matter, we coming from the context of an African across all levels. And when it comes to being African, we believe in family, we believe in spirit, we believe in community, we believe in cooperative economics. That's what we mean by African lives matter. So I want to say this, from this day forward, it's about Africans. I'm stingy, I'm petty, and it's all about building us back up. There's a debt owed to us on all levels, and that's where I stand.
Right.
I'm not selling for anything less but the utmost respect for anybody that come across my path. And when it comes to my community and resources, that's who I'm speaking for. Period.
Right. And I second that, man, because bottom line, when we say African lives matter, we are talking about the African family. The family is the first institution. The family is the first shrine. That is sacred. That needs to be protected. Now, when I say family, I'm not just talking about nuclear family. I'm talking about the global family of Africans. We are supposed to look out for each other, whether you are in Cameroon, whether you are in South Africa, whether you're in Nigeria, whether you're in Brazil, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in the United Snakes of America, KKKA. We have to look out for each other and represent each other on a global front. If something happens to someone in Libya, we need to turn up here in America for those in Libya.
Right.
We need to straight up stand for everyone. And on top of that, we can no longer here in the United States of America advocate for reparations strictly for us. This needs to be a global stance because we were kidnapped from Africa and brought over here for free labor. Not only that, when we were kidnapped, we had the Berlin Conference that occurred. And these crackers came together at a table and started splitting Africa up just to take the resources and rape and pillage and all that.
Right.
Speaking of that, it's not just a reparations case. We are also demanding for all the artifacts, every single piece of wealth that was taken out of Africa, the British Museum, the Vatican, all the shit that y'all got in y'all basements, y'all need to return that shit right now. ASAP. ASAP. Period. That's what we're demanding when we're talking about African lives matter. Period. This is not just breaking away from the crackers' bondage. We're talking about total sovereignty, world African sovereignty, and giving back what's rightfully ours. Because if you don't, then guess what? We don't have to do a damn thing. The cosmos is going to take care of you.
That's right. That's what we call Africans. We call it all the ancestors. So if you see a shrine on your block, then you know what's going down. We call it on all of our ancestors, the entire pantheon, to take care of our work. And if you know anything about our culture, it's all based in nature.
That's right.
So we have no needs to have no nuclear bomb. We don't got to spy on you using spyware and firmware. We will have nature take care of your ass.
That's right.
And on that note, thanks for listening to The Morning of Truth.
Yes.
Tell others to watch the show at themorningoftruth.com, on social media platforms at The Morning of Truth on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And visit our website and check out our blogs on the website. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, my brother. And I think that you hit the nail on the head, so we can just tune out and we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.
The principles of justice, harmony, balance, order, and reciprocity. It is our duty to deliver authentic and unapologetic messages to the world, from politics to economics, education, spiritual roots. This is the morning of truth.